Hey guys, Brozo here, back with another Mythic Plus video for you. Today I'm going to be going over a Priory of the Sacred Flame 12 that I ran. The first thing I want to talk about is my gear. Going into the key, I had 23% crit, 25% haste, 42% mastery, and only 2% verse. This is before flasks and stuff, so it'll change slightly, but that's my general setup. And I was running the Mug's Moxie Jug Trinket, which gives a lot of crit. And I was running Signet of the Priory, which is just the really good on-use trinket with secondary stats. And for my talents, I was running this setup here. This is the kind of general AoE talent setup for Demonology. We're running Shadow Invocation, which has a chance, when I'm using my other spells, to spawn some bats that fly down on mobs and do passive damage. It's really good in big AoE. Across the course of this key, that talent was 3% of my damage. Not bad. Definitely adds up over the course of a key. And besides that, just the other basic AoE talents. I had the red dog for AoE. I was focusing on Doom procs as well. So I went the full Doom setup here. And in the Warlock tree, I just went with the kind of one of the default setups for Mythic Plus. I could have gone for the fast B-res, but I just kept with the passive Soul Leech instead. We had a paladin in the key who also could help B-res. I wasn't too worried about it. One thing, though, I'd like to try next time I'm in Priory, or maybe Cinderbrew, is taking a point out of Argari technique and putting it into Dark Fury here. Normally, Shadow Fury is a 1-minute cooldown. This talent reduces the cooldown to 15 seconds and puts it at a 45-second cooldown. Across the course of a key, that'll give you several more uses of Shadow Fury, which is really important in places like Priory, where you have the mobs who are casting Defend, in reducing damage taken of all their allies nearby, or helping stop with a bunch of casts when you have everything on cooldown. This talent definitely seems like it would be pretty useful in those keys, compared to Sargerai Technique, which only gives plus 7% Shadow Bolt damage on the second use. If that's only 7% damage on Shadow Bolt, it's only doing 0.44% of my damage across the key. I think I can, lose 7% of 0.44% of my damage. I think I can give that up for having, several extra uses of Shadow Fury across the key. Okay, so going into the key, on this first pack, it's a pretty scary pack. So there's two things I want to focus on. First is obviously not dying. There's a mob, the Knight, who casts an AoE Shout Interrupt, which does a lot of damage and will lock you out of casting for like 5 seconds. But getting hit by that is super detrimental. And the other thing I want to do is be patient. I'm waiting here to have 2 imps, so I can power Siphon and get 2 Demon Bolt charges. And then I'm just waiting for my tank to grab aggro. I'm waiting for him to pull things together and to stack it up before I start doing too much damage. The last thing I want to do is Rip Threat, because we also popped Lust quite early while we're still mounted. But whatever. I don't want to Rip Threat and die instantly, because that will be just like GG for me. Once they're all stacked, I go ahead and start ramping. I will say this Tyrant I summon here, I do it rather quick. I don't really try and get too many imps out. I could have gone for more, but I wasn't too worried about it. You'll see here also, at the beginning of this pool, well, this is going by really fast. So, going by the beginning of this pool here, I'm going to pop my wall really early, because I want to reduce the amount of damage I'm taking. And I see here that the Night Mob is about to cast his Shout, so I will wall before the Shout comes out. Warlock's wall is pretty good. The DR is a little low, without a certain talent spec'd into it, but it makes you immune to interrupts. So I press wall here, I press wall right now, and the Disrupting Shout cast is going off while I press wall. So it'll keep me pretty much full HP, and from being interrupted while I'm casting. At the same time, I also went ahead and pressed Shadow Fury on the back to help stop these defend casts from going off, but they started casting it immediately after. And of course, I sent my Implosion into the ads while they were inside the defend shield, which I just do that really bad. There was a Shout, so I made sure I stopped casting as the Shout came out. Getting locked out is just super, super bad. Here's a Shout again. I finish my cast, and then I continue again. I'm pretty surprised I didn't die in this pack here. I held my health potion for way too long. I should have health potioned earlier. I actually haven't used it yet. I used Mortal Coil instead, but it's nice to see the Paladin has my back. This pack is dying, but I went ahead and sent my Tyrant anyways, because I figured we're going to just go straight into the next pack, and I don't want to desync my abilities too much. If I held my Tyrant, it would have lined up with the improved Felguard on the next one, but I wanted to go ahead and just get everything on cooldown to keep it synced up as it was anyway. We took a bit longer to pull it into the next pack than I thought though, so maybe that wasn't the best call. You'll see here too, I'm just going to go ahead and keep ramping like normal. There's only 4 mobs, so this is kind of just a nice intermediate phase before we pull again. I'm not too worried about like doing super high DPS on them. But what's going through my head here is that, okay, we're going to kill this pack and then maybe do a big pull with the next mini boss that comes, or go up the stairs and pull a pack. So I want to save my big damage for that. So here, I'm going to start ramping for my next Tyrant. And I don't use my 2-minute cooldowns. I don't use the improved Felguard or my Trinket, or like my Racial, because I figured, okay, the next pack or whatever is going to be big, I'm going to hold those for that. Just 1 minute, just Tyrant and my Tyrant's spin ability. But he ends up just chain pulling this into a pack right here instead, which feels pretty bad, because I should have used my cooldowns instead. And I definitely could and should be using my curses much more often, especially in this first part of the key here, and towards the end as well. The casters are just insane, just non-stop spamming casts at you. Using Curse of Tongues, or if you're playing Hellcaller, Affliction, or Destro, using Mark of the Satyr to curse the mobs is definitely a good idea. So with this mini-boss here, Sergeant Chainmail, you can stack a bit away from your group, because that spear jump she just did will cleave onto people nearby. You see on the left that me, the Rogue, and the Paladin all have it. I shouldn't be stacked so closely to them. Before the key, the Shaman asked me to stay in the healing rain. I was like, sure, I can do that. I stood in the healing rain and got cleaved. But wherever she lands, she does extra damage to people around her target, so staying stacked away from your group is definitely nicer. Here we're going to skip. I have the dot on me, and I'm still using Burning Rush, so if the Pally doesn't save me here, I would have killed myself. Not very smart. Like I mentioned a second ago, in this pack here, this little area, these mobs are really good to use curses on as well. And you'll see that since I didn't use Implosion or anything, after killing Chainmail, I have quite a lot of imps built up already from the previous pack. I had 12, 13 from the previous pack, and I'm able to Tyrant immediately, and have quite a big Tyrant with very little, setup for it, because I just have them from previously. And the elementals in this area are really, really scary. If you get targeted with the Purification debuff, it is super important to use some sort of defensive, or some sort of big healing for yourself. Just a single target, insane amount of damage. Here I have it. I don't have defensives up, so I'm just going to Mortal Coil instead. He heals for 25% of my HP, and is enough to keep me from dying, alongside heals from the Shaman. Here, I had a pretty big implosion going into that pack there. I wanted to wait until I had used my dogs on the pack to give them the Wicked Maw debuff. They took 20% increased damage before I used Implosion. Just a 20% damage increase on Implosion on a pack of, what is this, 15 mobs or something? It's going to do much, much, much more damage. And there, I had went ahead and sent my 2-minute Felguard cooldown anyways, so I decided I just wanted to commit to Tyrant. I wanted to just use it and keep it on cooldown, but it definitely felt a bit awkward. Unfortunately, in this pack, I'm going to die as well. I get targeted with 3 single target abilities in a row, and it's just pretty unfortunate. A Mortal Coil after that AoE, and here I get, like, destroyed. I was about 70% HP, then I got hit with a spear from one of the mobs. One of them shot me with a direct, like, shoot spell. And then I got hit with a spear again, in pretty rapid succession. I think in a second here I pull it up on the meter. Yeah. I'm sitting at, what, 65% HP? Then 1 second, single target. Then 0.7 seconds later, another single target, and then 0.3 seconds later, another single target. I could have probably potioned, somewhere here, but I figured, I'm at 65%, I don't need to potion, so it was kind of unlucky that all of them hit me at once. And I don't want to, have my cooldowns desync too much or get too far behind and, not participating in DPS. So I'll just go ahead and send my Tyrant here, and it's a pretty weak little Tyrant, but I want to go ahead and just use it and get it back on cooldown and do damage while I can. Looks like I wasn't the only one who died. Our Paladin also died. That's a bit of a time loss here. And now I'm just kind of going through the normal rotation. Demon Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan, Dogs, Tyrant, Demon Bolt, Hand of Gul'dan, Dogs, Tyrant. I think the core rotation of Demonology is quite simple, but it has a lot of complexity when it comes to using Demon Bolts, applying Doom, when you want to use big cooldowns versus not. Here, this is interesting. I've never seen this skip until this group. We're just going to go ahead and skip this mini-boss entirely. Hiding behind the tree with Shroud, just can't be seen. He has True Sight, so maybe we don't need Shroud, but it's definitely interesting. How this boss works over here, I'm fairly certain. He has a buff, for each one of his lieutenants that's near him. You don't necessarily need to kill the lieutenant to reduce that buff, as long as the lieutenant is not near him. Which is pretty cool. We're able to avoid that really annoying mob, while also getting rid of the buff on the boss. The mobs are all dying here. I go ahead and send Implosion anyway, because I'm not going to really have Tyrant coming up soon, and I've got Power Siphon coming up, so I don't need to worry about generating extra Demon Bolt charges here. I wanted the Paladin that pack before it died. On this boss here, you're just trying to kill Captain Dealcry. I tab target over to the other ad with him, and just put Demon Bolt Dooms on her, just so I can proc Doom off of her onto the boss and do extra damage. And I'm fairly certain damage that comes off of her will creep onto the boss as well. So if you even single target her with spells, the boss will also take some of that damage too. The damage on her is definitely not wasted, but you don't want to be single targeting her. Obviously, I've applied Curse of Tongues to both of them. I'd like to keep them from having casts go off as long as possible. And I forget to reapply it after we get lust. Here, I'm going to go ahead and ramp for a big Tyrant again. I'm using my 2-minute Felguard cooldown. I'll use my trinkets and stuff as well. The next room, I know we're going to do a big pull. I'm not sure how big it is going to be based on this being a pug. I don't know the tank very well. So if you're playing with premates and friends, it might be worth holding your 2-minute cooldowns and only using 1 minute there. But I go ahead and just send everything, just to do so. And we end up only just pulling 2 packs here, which is fine. I have a lot of imps, so I'm going to go ahead and send my dogs in. And once the mobs are stacked, I'll use an implosion on them all. And do quite a bit of damage. Implosion also helps me generate some more Demon Bolt charges, so I can ramp back up to full shards too. Here, just like before, I don't use my imps on an implosion right before that last pack ends, so I have some going into this room. I could have implosioned on that pack. I ended up not doing so until they'd all despawned. I probably could have implosioned earlier, but I was focused on spinning shards and stuff I had in the first place. This room here, these mobs are also like really dangerous, so having cooldowns for them is important. There's a lot of heals going off, so putting up curses is pretty good in this room. I didn't do it. Do as I, recommend, not as I do. That, and then these paladins have a divine toll ability that's going out constantly, which does a high spike of damage to the entire group at once. So these packs can definitely be pretty scary if you don't have cooldowns and things allocated for them. Here, I'm not sure why. I messed up my rotation there. I hit my Tyrant before I sent my Improved Felguard. I think I was stressed about not dying there or something. Yeah, that was definitely an embarrassing Tyrant. Okay, my imps were expiring, and I wanted to apply Wicked Maw from my dogs to the ads before I used Implosion. And I was also hoping he would pull the ads from the stairs before I implosioned as well. That way I could just cleave twice as many mobs at the same time. But he ended up not pulling them before my imps were going to expire, so I just went ahead and sent it a bit early on the only like 4 or 5 mobs instead. Here the mobs are standing inside the consecration while casting. There's quite a few casts going off at once, so I use Shadow Fury.
Demonstrate your worth. Those who oppose the Emperor will fall at our feet. By the Emperor's will!
So on this boss, you'll see I dropped my demonic circle in the back. This boss, the first week for this tier, this boss is really difficult for me. It's kind of a dance. You stack as a group, and he'll drop all his hammers where their group is stacked. They're all baited on players. You stack together. When the hammers are dropped, you teleport away, and then you just free cast. You're doing pretty good. Normally, if your tank is having a hard time living, you can help soak those orbs as well. The boss will give himself a buff. When he gives himself the buff, all of his abilities are empowered, including that one, and the soak will have 5 orbs in it, not just 3. In that case, you definitely need to soak. In the stacks of 3, you don't always need to help, but it could be good if you have a defensive up, since warlocks are really tanky. Dark Pact or Wall will definitely be good enough to soak for sure. This time there's 5 though, so I should go take part and help soak. But I get cut off by this, and I don't go instead. I went to go, Tank got it before me. Actually, I forgot I went over there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we stack again.
Flame cleanse you.
The paladin made a good call. Nobody was going to it, so it's better for him to try than... Yeah. I apologize for being too slow to go there.
Did by flame's light.
And now we're definitely having a hard time catching up. These things do a bunch of AoE damage. I think the healer and I are doing a bit too much typing mid-fight, so everybody's suffering for it.
The flame in power. Glory guide my hammer. Flame cleanse you. Of course you fall.
I sent my tyrant, but I got a bit messed up when I teleported out from the hammers. And I lost my dogs as I sent my tyrant as well. I was too focused on just orbs and getting out of the way. That was definitely awkward. So it goes to show, even if you don't play perfectly, you can still do pretty decently. At least in lower keys. When you start getting in the higher end, it'll definitely require you to not make so many simple mistakes. That one, the tank had AMS, so it's easy for him to soak all the purples, so I didn't go in.
Of course you fall. By fire. I am healed. The flame empowers me. Defeat.
This pack here is a pretty decent size. There's 2 paladins, or Templars, which are quite annoying.
Walk the Priory from a place of contemplation to an
So
upright
going ahead and using cooldowns in this pack isn't the worst idea.
She has always preached of the strength of the Emperor's will, but to turn it against us is madness.
And see, as this pack is getting low, we're only getting down to 1 or 2 mobs. So it's not going to be worth it for me to implosion these. Only 2 mobs left, and I see I have a lot of imps built up, and my cooldowns are coming up relatively soon. And when you get out of combat, the duration of your imps is set quite high, kind of refreshed. By now going into this next room, I'll be able to go ahead and summon my Spellhounds and stuff immediately, and Tyrant rather quick, and have a really large Tyrant. Here, I don't need a target to go ahead and summon the Charhound. It keeps me out of combat. So I have my Charhound up, and my imps, and I'm out of combat. So my imps' duration is still really long. When I get back in combat, the duration of the imps will shrink rather quickly. So I want to use the Charhound before I get in combat, and then target one of these mobs and use my dogs, and then Tyrant immediately to get as many imps as possible in the Tyrant without doing any setup on these mobs at all. I walked up the stairs and immediately had a 15 imp Tyrant just waiting for me. Really, really nice. And then from there I can just, cast my normal spells and ramp up. So I start with 15, and you can see how high I get, just because I was already set up by not using Implosion on those last 2 or 3 mobs in the previous pack. Yeah, I Implosioned way too early though in this pack. I'm not sure why I Implosioned so early. Let me go back and look at it to show you. So I've got like, what, 30 something imps or whatever? And you can see here, my imps, like 5 of them have 5 seconds left, 20 of them have 9 seconds left. So I still have a few more seconds before I really want to implode. I can let these 5 go and implode with the 20 when they're closer to dying. But I send it quite early, which is a bit unfortunate. I could have milked a few more seconds of damage here. I think I just got excited seeing 30 imps and wanted to implode them all at once. But maybe keep that in mind when you're playing, to really watch the timers here on your imps and not implode too early. Because I also had just used Tyrant and they were still somewhat buffed, so yeah, definitely a little early. This room, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of mobs in this area are also very good to curse. I just have not been pressing curse this key at all. When I'm playing Destruction or Affliction, it's like second nature to press the curses on mobs. But for some reason, this Demonology, I just have not been doing it. Which is a shame, because the problem with Demonology is its utility. Destruction and Affliction have access to different pets. You can purge, you can dispel, you have a shorter kick cooldown. Demonology's kick is pretty bad, and it has a long cooldown. So we don't like that. You'll see here I'm in the same place as earlier. I have my Imp's cooldowns, my Imp's duration extended because I'm out of combat. And I have the instant cast dogs right here. I want to use that immediately. So I get baited by this. Unfortunately, it only has 0 seconds left. So as soon as I go to click instant dogs, they're gonna, like, the cooldown's gonna get messed up. Then I have to full cast them. I still get the Tyrant with 12 Imps, which isn't bad. But I could have had 15 instead. Here I have Purification on me, so I used Dark Pact, and then I got hit by something else, and I panicked. I used all my cooldowns on wall. I used my wall after I took damage, which is just really stupid. I could have used wall at the beginning with Dark Pact to ensure I don't take enough damage to die, but hindsight's 20/20. There's also two things in this pack I want to mention really quick. So these footmen, these risen footmen, when they die, they have an explosion that does a bunch of damage to your group. So in one of these later packs, you're going to be pulling a bunch of these at once. It's important not to kill them all too quickly, otherwise your entire group will die. You'll see here we get chunked like 20% each time they die. And also, when these light spawns die, they have a giant yellow circle around them that will just do like one-shot damage to you. And any enemies who are in this little explosion as it goes off get healed like 20 or 30% of their HP. There, I sent my Tyrant to keep it on cooldown, and then we took a bit of a break, and it got a bit wasted. But this entire key, I've just been trying to keep my Tyrant on cooldown, you know, as much as I can. I know we're going to go ahead and pull these next two packs as soon as this guy dies, so I ramp for Tyrant going into them. And I know that on the boss, I want to have my cooldowns up for when we go upstairs. That's when we want to break our shield, so I go ahead and use them now, because I know they'll be up in 2 minutes-ish when we're upstairs on the shield. And we will probably have lust at that time. Yeah, so as they're getting close to dying, we kind of want to stagger the deaths of these mobs, so we don't just completely delete ourselves. So I'll keep swapping from the one that's at 1 HP to the highest HP mob. And earlier, when I figured I could use my 2-minute cooldowns, I didn't think we were behind on percent. I didn't check. That likely comes from the fact that we, skipped the mini-boss before the first boss. And even though it's only 3 mobs and they're kind of low HP, I'll just go ahead and send my Tyrant anyway. Just to keep it on cooldown and keep using it. I have Purification on me. I was too focused on setting up my Tyrant. I didn't wall. I didn't Healthstone. Definitely on me. Pretty much every single time Purification comes out on you, you need to just stop what you're doing and focus on using a defensive. I was too focused on DPSing, and That came back to bite me. What's nice is this group, everybody's really nice though. They're all taking blame for me killing myself, which is, crazy. Here is like a really important gate skip we can do. When you stand on, I always do it on the left side. You can also put it on the right side. But from this area here, right about where this diamond is, you can gate up to the top of this platform here. What I like to do is kind of zoom my camera out and adjust the angle so I can see the top of this platform. And then you can gateway up onto it. I try and make sure that my cursor is like on the platform. Sorry, let me go back and give you a better vision of it. I make sure that my cursor is clearly on the entire platform, like it's on the top, like this. That way the gateway is securely on the top of the platform. You put it just on the edge, people can take the gateway on the edge and walk and just fall off. This makes it foolproof, so your team doesn't just walk off the edge and have to take the stairs anyway. And now you just want to make sure you don't kite the fire over your gateway. What's nice here is I can cast Charhound without looking at the boss. So I go ahead and cast that ability while looking away. You don't have to have a target for that. You can press it anytime, which is cool. Also, if you're playing Affliction, you can cast Drain Soul and turn away mid-Drain Soul cast. Drain Life works. If you're playing Destruction, you can cast Rain of Fires behind you, so maybe cast a Rain of Fire. You can press Channel Demon Fire and turn around while Demon Fire is going off. And there are definitely many ways you can keep uptime while doing this mechanic. Here I go again, casting the dog, turning around, and we're good. Or you can just cast a spell and then turn around last second, go back, lose a second of uptime. In the grand scheme of things, it's not that important, but it feels cool. Okay, so in this part of the fight, we're going to have these small adds coming up the stairs. But the boss's AoE is going to kill them. They have this yellow dot on them, which will kill them over time. It is nice to, do some padding on them and kill them. But you want to make sure you at least stun them and CC them, so that way you don't have the chance of drawing aggro and getting one shot. I pressed Implosion because I wanted the pad. And if the adds get hit by me before the boss has a chance to get aggro, they will come up and one-shot you, because it's like 15 mobs hitting you at once. So that Implosion was really stupid. In hierarchies I've seen, people run, Mage and Druid, and they will mass root them outside or Ring of Frost them outside of the room on the edges, and they'll die before even coming in. So definitely isn't really worth padding on them because they die super quickly on their own. Here you can cast Tyrant. You just turn around, face away, press Tyrant. You're good. You'll see I dropped my demonic circle in the back here. That way I have an out if I'm cut in a corner like this. But somebody dropped the beam on my demonic circle, so I figure I'm safer up here in the front. We don't have a B-res for that guy, but the boss is about to die, so not that big of a deal. And there we go. Plus 12 in time. And the 4 million DPS check has been beaten. Feels pretty nice doing over 4 million in a key. And that puts me, right about 1 key or 2 keys away from 3k. The video for my 3k should be coming soon. I haven't gotten it yet because I've been kind of slacking on keys, but hoping to get it soon. Anyways, that's the video. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.